Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Luminoso, the Luminara series, Book 4 by S.J. Molloy, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue. She closes her eyes and inhales deeply. Like many times before, she prepares. The sweet aroma of fresh lavender, freesia, and citrus fruit empowers her senses, making her feel giddy. Filling her lungs, she visualizes prisms of colors in pinks, reds, oranges, purples, and greens. Vivid changing colors of the autumnal Tuscan countryside. Delightful, pungent sense of the fresh air and her appreciation of bright colors provide a heavenly distraction. When she opens her nut-brown eyes, she demonstrates an unwavering smile, an untouchable smile that almost reaches her eyes. Color is important. It brings focus and makes everything brighter. She's always thought of rainbows as a crescent of painted armor. The kaleidoscopic ribbons of color are meant for shielding, protecting, and securing. A phantasm of defense. It's her very own iridescent shelter, and today she feels safe visualizing her prismatic bow of armor overhead. Although these pleasant thoughts don't comfort her enough to stop her from wrapping her arms around her chest and holding on to her shaky, vulnerable shoulders. The air, slightly crisper than it was when she first arrived in Tuscany, provides a cool, refreshing breeze that brushes against her long brown tousled hair. When the breeze becomes still, her hair falls neatly and fans her delicate shoulders and slim frame in a tumble of velvety glossiness. She relishes in the tepid breeze brushing against her hot, prickly skin. It's refreshing and cool, especially against the sudden increase in body heat she's experiencing. Nerves and anticipation always increase her temperature, so sitting outside today is a welcomed relief and a true treat. It is paradise. The brown-haired beauty expected murky clouds because in the past that's all that tended to overshadow her on previous therapy sessions. Yet here there's not one cloud in the sky. She's blessed and very fortunate. Often she'd convince herself that she's lucky to truly appreciate her life and the small things others take for granted. Despite her anguish, her life for what it is. Lucky, blessed, loved. Contemplating the last question from her therapist, she takes her time before answering it. Today's session is about questions and answers. Sometimes in the past, she was expected to just talk while her other array of therapists simply listened. Various forms of her previous therapy have been animal-assisted therapy, AAT, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, EMDR, and cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, to name a few. Not today. Today is more casual. This relaxed approach of casually chatting and answering questions eases her because she can divulge what she wants and skip on anything that's challenging or hard to answer. In addition, it's not as mentally exhausting as just talking because it makes her feel like she's participating in a trusting two-way conversation, and it makes her feel safe. It's important for her to fill her senses in order to maintain equilibrium and composure before confessing her feelings to the compassionate therapist whom she trusts. Never rushed, she's allowed her time to reflect because here in this colorful world, there is no ticking clocks or schedules or rules. She can take all day if she likes, but the therapist is patient and caring and deserves compliance and good manners, which means being cooperative and polite in the time they have together. And time is short. There's a lot of it to make up for. Sipping on her iced tea and straightening her smart designer blouse, she absently takes her left hand to her ear, twirling the large diamond earring between her thumb and middle finger. A fretful inclination she exhibits while lost in the recesses of her mind. Her catalog of thoughts. She doesn't know how long she's played with the sparkly gem, but time stands still. The wind, now motionless, forgets to blow. The tepid breeze remains stagnant, and the picture-perfect heaven has stopped spinning around the sun and moon. She moves. The elements don't. The last question remains unanswered. Unknowingly, she's passed on it while her body and mind still spin, and everything else is static. Casey Huddersfield's professionalism and intuition changes the dynamics because she's seen a window of opportunity before her. She witnessed this same restless action on their last therapy session only yesterday. I don't think I complimented you on those earrings you were wearing. I actually noticed them yesterday. They're beautiful, very elegant. I must lay some hints to Terence. We have a special anniversary coming up soon. Casey chuckles and winks playfully. Although I have to admit he's not the best at picking out jewelry. I worry he picks something god-awful. The therapist waves her hand around and lightens the oppressive mood. It's her charm. A mellow smile highlights her patient's beautiful face because she responds well to familiarity. It eases her. Returning from her reverie, she blushes. They were a gift. They are very precious to me. She's yet to drop her hand. If anything, she only twirls the impressive stone in fast circles with more vigor. Casey's extensive research and knowledge doesn't fail her in her observations and comprehension behind this little revelation. This show and tell may appear so small and simple, yet it's so instrumental. Tactfully, Casey continues, Well, you are a very lucky lady. They are stunning. A true dream. A dream? No. They are real, very real. She can touch them. They must be real. She lived a horrible dream. Now she wants real, bright, light, and real. Why can't everything be bright, light, and real? The brown-eyed beauty furrows her brow, and for a split second she's lost all sight of her majestic colors, her brightness. Her pulse quickens as she reaches her right hand and mimics her restless custom, twirling and fondling the precious gem. It's habit. I'd love to own a timeless piece of jewelry, but unfortunately I have a terrible tendency for misplacing things and losing such items. I'm quite clumsy. You're right to be protective and want to cherish them. Casey's voice is soft and impassive, but these few words represent a substantial amount of reflection, gravity, and wisdom, of hope. Casey took a huge risk saying this. An apology of sorts? More of a mutual understanding, and the irony isn't lost on her patient. They aren't a dream. They are real. She feels a shiver travel down her spine. It amazes her how she can feel warm one minute, then freezing cold the next, with only a few reactive words. Of course they're real. They're very beautiful, and you're doing an excellent job of looking after them. They're treasurable. Yes, they are. Thank you. I believe they are beautiful and precious. Her cadence is assertive and bold. Her tone is possessive, yet demonstrates a nervous disposition, bottom lip trembling, eyes glossed over. She is unsettled. Would you like to tell me why you were holding on to them both so tightly? Of course, Casey already knows the answer, but this is about her patient realizing for herself. That is the real breakthrough. She blinks quickly and swallows, gently removing her hands from both earrings, grasping one of her wrists, mindlessly scratching her skin. Meeting the warm, kind eyes of Casey, she's lost control of her emotions. She cries. Casey removes her red spectacles and places them on top of her head. She adjusts herself and slips her sandals off from underneath the table, making herself more comfortable. Usually her body remains impassive, but today she allows her shoulders to drop and her chest to rise and fall with each benevolent sigh. She shows compassion and needs her patient to feel comfortable and look right into her sympathetic eyes, her empathetic eyes. Casey holds back her own tears despite her hurt and ensures she makes eye contact. It takes mighty willpower for Casey not to jump up and move around the alfresco table and drape her arms around her patient to comfort her. She will, but not yet. Casey is too close, and she still has unanswered questions that are imperative to concluding today's session. I'm sorry. A quiet, docile whisper from her patient breaks their moment. Another swish of the Mediterranean air lightly brushes across the side of Casey's patient's body and face, her hair once again moving like chocolate-coated ribbons until it tumbles back into its bouncy waves of velvet around her back and shoulders. Casey's amazed how her patient manages to still look youthful even through her hardships and stress. Her hair has obviously been recently colored, but her skin is still healthy and glowing as it ever was. When the cooling breeze passes over, the brown-eyed beauty moves some hair from her face and wipes her glistening tears with the back of her hand, then frowns when she notices the red scratch marks she's made on her wrist. Please don't apologize. You have nothing to be sorry for. I hoped after all these years you would learn to stop apologizing unnecessarily. I understand why you do. We've talked about this, but in order to grow and be stronger, you need to categorize when is the right time to express regret and when it is not. Differentiate between the two concepts. Yes, I'm sorry. She stops before repeating herself again. This is another habit she mindlessly displays. In her previous life, she was forced to obey, submit, and endlessly apologize. She had no power and was always at fault. It's no wonder she senselessly apologizes. The one weakness she's never compartmentalized. Why do you feel the need to hold on to your jewelry so covetously? I think it's symbolic. Casey moves on when she notices her distress. You do? She asks in a high-pitched voice, erecting her spine. Yes, I do. You're looking after what's yours. It's a wonderful quality to have, and that's why you are caring and responsible. Casey refrains from going any further. She wants to hear these words directly from her patient. I guess I don't want to lose them. The meaning behind this not only pinched at her heart, it also tugged at Casey's. Do you think you will lose them? Casey replies in a tremulous voice, trying desperately to mask her upset. Yes, I lose everything. I lost myself, my body and mind, and I don't want to lose these as well. Now she scratches her other wrist raw. Casey arches an eyebrow and purses her lips in a hard line, alarmed to see she's still so emotionally scarred with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, that she is unknowingly abusing her own body, reliving old fears. Something triggered this. The therapist sighs, leans over, and removes her patient's hand from her wrist and holds it still on the table. Her patient has already turned her head to admire the emerald hillside flourishing in prisms of green. She waits for Casey to continue, but she doesn't. Casey simply strokes her hand gently. Once again, the brown-eyed beauty closes her eyes, envisioning a dazzling rainbow, and inhales the scents of Italian delicacies wafting from the farmhouse kitchen, which distracts her. With her eyes closed, she can almost paint a landscape picture from memory alone, and she could sure eat some of the mouth-watering treats. They smell delicious. She's never been treated to such excellent food in her life. Before Luca. Someone's presence from the open archway alerts them both. I am sorry to interrupt. Dinner will be ready in about 20 minutes. Does that work for you both, or would you like more time? He speaks in perfect English, accented with rich Italian flavor, soft and careful. He's considerate. Perfect, thank you. We won't be much longer. That's unless you would like to finish early today. Casey gestures towards her patient. The delicate woman in front of her now appears to sit taller and blossom with his approach. A wide smile reaches her lips and her eyes, which are now filled with excitement and gratitude. This pleases Casey very much to see the positive effect this man has on her patient. No, I'd like to continue. Casey smiles at her patient with relief. The distinguished and extremely handsome Italian gentleman with salt and pepper hair places some olives and snacks on the table in front of both ladies. He glances down and notices the bella signora has been crying. Her precious cheeks are raw, and she has that stained, flushed look she gets after crying. He reaches down and lifts her chin, brushes his thumb tenderly across her soft cheek, then squeezes her shoulder in reassurance. He knows his boundaries. She returns the gesture by placing her hand over his on her narrow shoulder, smiling and silently thanking him with her big, beautiful eyes. Ordinarily, therapy would be completely private, and these sessions would be confidential in the comfort and discretion of Casey's private Mount Martha clinic in Scotland, but this is an exception. She's a guest here in Tuscany and friends with the family. Therapy, whether serious or casual, is something she wants to do for this family. She needs to help in any way that she can. Both ladies nibble on some chiacchiere, sweet, deep-fried pasta with sugar icing, and enjoy the olives and breads while they hush their conversation for now. These are delicious, thank you. The charming man appears enthused. You are welcome. Eat up. You have not eaten anything substantial in days. I am sorry to be persistent, but I wish you would take better care of yourself. He encourages the bella signora and smiles when she breaks off another piece of the decadent, sweet pasta crisp. When he returns back into the farmhouse, she once again holds the diamonds in her thumb and middle fingers in contemplation. Can we continue our talk regarding your earrings? Casey asks. Yes, okay, if you'd like to.